So it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Jon Cherry. He is a Pulitzer Prize-winning photojournalist whose work spans a wide range of disciplines. Born in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to parents in the U.S. Armed Forces, Cherry now proudly calls Kentucky his home. He calls himself a Kentuckian. This means a lot to us. So speaking as a Kentuckian, let me just say, I know one day we're going to look back and be really proud that he claimed us, because we claim him. Through his lens, Cherry is capturing the events that define our time. He's a frequent contributor to the New York Times, Getty Images, the Wall Street Journal, and Associated Press. He has an amazing heart and has given his support to the Tyler Girth Memorial Photography Contest with Olmsted Parks. We do that work in memory of Tyler Girth, whose parents are here with us today, and whose building, We invite you to learn about Tyler and his family's work through the Building Equal Bridges Foundation at the display over there. And so you're really in for a treat. This morning, Jon is accompanied by Scott T. Smith, a Louisville musician currently on the Tyler Childers Tour, who is taking a break to be with us this morning. Pretty special. This is not going to be your run-of-the-mill lecture. I want you to sit back, relax, loosen up, and enjoy being reintroduced to the joy of spending time in your parks.
Sideways through the trees, finding the water, making everything look like it was painted by someone who truly loves this place. It lays on top of the dew more quietly than the dew itself. And there, on a bench near the path, I rest with a camera on my lap, just sitting and listening, sometimes with my eyes closed, sometimes listening and watching.
The natural symphony of the park is in full effect early.
What's that man doing here?
Leave the man alone.
Why is his eyes closed? Is he sleeping?
I don't know. Leave him alone. I want to get home quick today.
He might be homeless.
You're supposed to say unhoused.
He might be unhoused. His eyes are closed.
Come on, you have to. Hey, don't go over to. Hey!
Hey, sir. Excuse me, are you? Hello?
Hello.
Do you, live here? I mean, do you hang out at the park a lot?
It feels like I live here. Like I've been here my whole life. Since I was your age.
My age? Why would you keep coming to the park for that long? What was the parking like back then?
What was it like? Well, that's the question. That's always the question when you reach a certain year. If it's okay with your big sister, sit down for a while. And I'll tell you what it was like, and why I keep coming back. It's because the park does something that nothing else does. I've been a lot of places. I was once a photographer, and I photographed farmers and politicians, and joy and grief across as many states as I possibly could. I stood in rooms of power, and I stood in ones that were devastatingly empty. And I'll tell you something I learned the hard way. There's almost nowhere left in American life where you can go without an invitation, an agenda, or a purchase. The stream of commerce is ever flowing. But the park feels like the exception to this powerful American rule. You can walk in with nothing and you're welcomed anyway. The sunlight won't check your credit score. The path by the stream doesn't ask about your politics. The weather is the same for everyone, no matter where you're from. When was the last time you saw a billboard in an Olmsted park? Frederick Law Olmsted understood something that urban planners spent the next century trying to relearn. That shared space isn't just some luxurious expense. Shared space is an essential infrastructure in a functioning democracy. You cannot belong to a city that does not let you into its heart. A city that walls off its beauty, a society that reserves its parks for the neighborhoods that can afford to maintain them. It's a city that has quietly decided some people just don't belong. The parks in Louisville, especially these Olmsted parks, in the truest sense, are the commons. The one place the city says, you are welcome here, all of you. I watch what happens when people believe that, and I watch what happens when they stop. During the sanctuary season, the park became my last lifeline.
What's a sanctuary season? Is that a holiday?
I'm glad you asked. There came a season I remember painfully yet dearly, the one that changed everyone without asking permission. Some people call it lockdown, some refer to it as COVID, and I refer to it as our sanctuary season. I lost my job, I lost my girlfriend, and then the whole world went completely dead and quiet. The restaurants closed, the bars closed, and the churches rang bells over empty pews. And the schools were empty too. Outside there were vacant streets, but people flocked to the parks. And I fled there like the rest of them. But I had one distinct advantage. I already knew the good birding spots by heart. I'd spent many of my adolescent and young adult years escaping to this park, living out my own fantasies. And every trail was mapped like the veins at the tops of my bare feet. Of course the joggers were already there, the dog walkers, suddenly sporting homemade masks. Then everyone else showed up too. There was fear, yes, but then maybe because we all showed up in this place, there was something else no one expected. Convention. Inspirational chalk messages appeared on the scenic loop. Once I saw 2 birthday parties 6 feet apart. There was a woman who came every morning and sat by the water, and for a few weeks, I knew her schedule even better than my own. I was asked to photograph a high school graduation for boys who'd been robbed of a real one. I had no idea what I was doing. None of us did, and the park held everyone. Just by listening the way a good friend would. It gave us at least somewhere to be. The parks had become respite from the pandemic. Then the summer came and the parks became a place of sanctuary from violence and loss. The community radically mourned the losses of Breonna Taylor, our senses of safety, and the loss of life everyone thought that they were living. We had reached a boiling point. Have you gotten to that part in your history books? That summer is where this old man's journey truly started. I took thousands of photos of community members collectively raising their fists against an opponent much stronger than they. I watched bullets skip across the concrete. I distinctly remember the sensation of smelling tear gas for the first of what would be many times in my life. I didn't know from one day to the next if I would make it home, but almost every morning and every night, the story found its way back to this very spot. found a new appreciation for these quiet moments. A man who could put his guard down enough to find and photograph an owl in a knotty tree hook. That is a free man right there. Sometimes I'd fall asleep in my secret spot by the stream, and wake up in the pitch black, disoriented, awakened by a strange sound. Like a police helicopter making its way from downtown back to Bowman Field. Little frogs, spring peepers I think they're called. They make an unlikely nocturnal duet with the chukka of the rotor blades. I make my way back home in the dark and come back to this Olmsted Park the next morning, ready to do it all again. Do you know how lucky you are to have this here? This park and 17 others. It used to be 18, but we lost one. All dreamed up by Frederick Law Olmsted. His dreams and his ideas, those are some of the things I've been sitting here thinking about for a long time now. Olmsted's big idea, and it was truly radical when he had it, was that parks were not solely decoration or an afterthought or a sign of a prosperous city that had already handled its important business. They were public health infrastructure. They were democracy made spatial. He designed Cherokee, Iroquois, and Shawnee, a connected system intended to give every neighborhood in our city access to something beautiful and shared. He was designing, whether he knew it or not, for belonging. And here we sit today upon that legacy. I'll say plainly what I think. What Olmsted built is not finished. It does require maintenance. Yes, the flora, the water systems, the native plants. It requires a continuous act of recommitment. The city has to keep deciding that this is what it values. The canopy matters because it's the city's lungs, and because it's disappearing faster in some neighborhoods than others. This disparity is no accident. The flooding resilience matters, and our eastern neighbors know all too well what it's like when industry has stripped the land and the water runs unabashed. The trails and access matter because a park that a neighborhood cannot reach is not their park, no matter what the map says. And you two, growing up right now under these trees, will inherit exactly what the people who are adults now decide to maintain or neglect. I say it because I've seen the long version of this story. And I don't mean to scold. I know how the chapter ends when a city takes its infrastructure seriously. I know how it ends when it doesn't. And I want to tell you now, after years of experience and many failed experiments, I want to tell you.
Tell us.
Sorry, it's just, I've tried to tell people this before. It's hard for people to listen. And I keep trying to tell them what this place has taught me about people. People are more complex than the headlines suggest. I've spent years photographing difficult things. I've seen cruelty, I've seen cowardice. But in the parks, in the specific unprogrammed encounter of the common grounds, I've seen something the algorithm cannot replace. Strangers exercising their civility with strangers for no reason except that they were in the same place at the same time. Sometimes helping one another, sometimes just a passing nod. Either way, a choice was made. Shared beauty creates shared stakes. When people experience something beautiful together, in the same light, the same path, the same autumn afternoon, they develop a common interest in protecting it. The park is one of the few remaining technologies for creating it. A city that maintains its parks is maintaining its capacity for a shared investment in anything. Perhaps even its shared defense of democracy. The place outlasts the moment. Every crisis I've witnessed, every protest, every global pandemic, every solitary grief, the land has absorbed it and remained. And how profound is it that a public space can hold the full weight of society and not collapse under it? The place outlasts the moment, but only if you let it, if you don't chop it down, or bulldoze it, or develop it.
we should probably get going, but, well, thank you. You didn't have to tell her or me. There's so much to, thank you.
Hey, wait, did you ever get anybody to listen?
Well, look out there into the expanse of the park, across the tops of the trees, where they meet the sky, to the path, where the roots snake and jut between the rocks, to the waterside, where the footprints of the creatures tell their stories of their day in the mud.
But did you?
Well, you've gone quiet the way children do when something has reached them, even though you are, in reality, incredibly good adults who are enjoying a nonprofit breakfast fundraising benefit. You're all looking forward, like little kids who have been seated that way and instructed to listen. But did you really? Did you hear me? I guess that depends on what you do next.